Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, better known as the Seaman. Now I want to welcome you to another edition of the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down. As you can see, we're in my car, which means it's live reaction time. And since I'm in that Target parking lot, you know I've just seen a movie. And tonight's movie was one I was real stoked for, man. This trailer, maybe one of the best trailers of the year. Just high energy, wild story that looked like it was going to be a fairly entertaining time at the theater. However, the movie is not quite that. So is that good or is that bad? Well, to find out, you know the drill, man. Pull up a chair, take a seat. I'm fresh out the theater after seeing White Boy Rick. And we'll address the first thing that I just mentioned, and that is that this movie is a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. And the movie does have some really big script problems. The issues that come up in this movie, I think, all stemmed from these script problems. And it's the fact that the movie wants to take broad strokes. Doesn't really want to dive into the gritty details of what happens to Richard Wersher Jr., who is White Boy Rick, and his family. The story is insane. It is a wild story, and that's really what kept my attention the whole movie. But the script misses some opportunities for sure. There's some subject matter in this movie that's like real big. I mean, stuff like the system, kind of betraying and failing a person, and the way a situation can kind of send somebody down a path that's risky. But when you have no other options and everything looks like it's as bad as it's going to get, sometimes you take that risk, and the story really makes you understand that. And unfortunately, sometimes those risks can make things worse than even they were prior. And that's really what the story is about, but it never wants to really fully dive in or commit to either of those story angles or to White Boy Rick or Richard Wersher Sr., or the people they're involved with. It's kind of, as you go through the movie, it's kind of like snapshots as you go from, the story covers, White Boy Rick from 15 to 17. So, you kind of get these snapshots, and like I said, each part is an interesting part of the story, but it never wants to kind of fully commit to diving in and telling us, the most interesting things. And that's a little disappointing, but because the story in and of itself and what happened to this kid is so wild, it is easy to get gripped into what's happening. And that also stems from really, really good acting performances. Matthew McConaughey is absolutely stellar in this movie. He's just a phenomenal actor every time he steps out there. Not necessarily, the craziest thing that he's ever done, but he knocks it out of the park, steals every scene that he's in, and I just love McConaughey, man. He does a really good job of making an endearing kind of deadbeat dad. And then throw in there Richie Merritt. This kid is a complete unknown. He's not an actor, and if you don't know the story, go and look it up. It is really fascinating how they found this kid, and for someone who's a total unknown who's not an actor, blew me away with how he holds his own on screen with a guy like Matthew McConaughey. I was really, really impressed with Richie Merritt. I thought he did such a great job. Then throw in, characters like Jonathan Majors, who is spectacular. The bit that he has in this movie, albeit very stereotypical. Pretty much every character in this movie is as big a stereotype as you could think of. And it really feels like it was a paint by numbers kind of a movie, right? It took all the easy routes and didn't kind of take any of the difficult ones. But Jonathan Majors, wow, man, every time he's on screen too, immediately draws you in. Same with Belle Powley, who does a really good job, and all the other people that are in it, as small as their roles are. And there are a lot of really small roles from some fairly well-known people. And they all do a good job with what they're given. But it's all really about Richie Merritt and Matthew McConaughey, and they do fantastic work. And it's what, allows you to kind of get into the story and kind of just latch on and it's like a page turner. You just want to see what happens ultimately to Rick. And it's sad. Like I said, it's an emotional gut punch a lot throughout this movie. But I think this is a movie worth watching. Despite the script problems, despite some bad pacing, the story is just wild, man. My head exploded multiple times, and it's so fascinating that it's so worth the watch, and it's really worth the watch to watch McConaughey and Richie Merritt, because they're really, really impressive. So there you go, man. That's all the Seaman's got to say right now for White Boy Rick. That means it's your turn. If you've seen White Boy Rick, please hit those comments. Let me know what you thought of the movie. Did the script really hurt the movie for you and make it, not good? Or were you able to get into what the ultimate story was and how good the acting was? Let us know all that down below. If you're going to drop a spoiler, please note it. And if you haven't seen the movie, has the Seaman enticed you to want to see it? I don't know if you need to see this in theaters. I mean, there are a lot of movies that come out that necessarily don't need to be seen in the theaters, but definitely worth a watch. So let me know what you're thinking about there if you haven't seen the movie. As always, if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. And as always, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and little bell so you get alerts every time I make a new video. For the Seaman's Cinema Sit Down, I'm the Seaman. Now I'm signing off. Peace! Oh, jeez, you guys are still here? Well, if you are, you might as well check out a video like this guy or this guy. And if you haven't, could you please hit that subscribe button like that guy over there? Thanks, man.